You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver media podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and The Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Well, good morning and hello, kids. Whoops, sorry. How is the sound okay?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Something was weird in here. Okay, let's try that again. Take two. Good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to season 3 and episode number 110. Woohoo! Of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Crier Media Network. Today, recording day is Monday, May 1st. Yes, May already. This year's gone by super quick. 2023. And not only is it my Beaver sister's birthday, happy birthday, Deborah, but there were also recent birthdays for my Beaver Sweeties family. So happy belated birthdays to Rada and Dragan. I hope everything was wonderful. As well, it will be yet another rainy day here at the Beaver Lodge, which once again means no tennis. I'm a very sad beaver. I guess that means more time to memorize lines from the play. Oh well.
Yeah.
Oh, is that weather cam? Oh,
yeah,
look at
that's
that.
the weather cam.
So much weather.
It's very dreary, rainy, cold, and gray. It's a lovely November day for May 1st.
Right. Pretty much.
Other than the fact that, the leaves are starting to grow on the trees, it's very much feels like a November day.
Yeah, it does indeed. And we've had several November rain days. I feel like Axl Rose all of a sudden channeling coming up there.
Mhm.
But hey, we'll take it. We'll take it because yesterday the tulips in our front garden shifted from green to red.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, the flowers have come out to play. And on our back porch this year, again, like last year, except this year we decided not to, we set up a little ledge specifically because last year we had a robin come and build a nest right on our porch light. And they had 4 little robins last year. Well, this year we put a little ledge a little further, and they set up a nest again. And I don't know if they're robins again or a different kind of bird, because last year, every time I opened up the door, the bird went flying right up to the top of the garage and then was like observing, right? Are you going to stop and look at those eggs? Because I'm going to come for you. We're going to have a Hitchcock moment here. But it's a little further away, only about 2 feet. But now when I open the door to come out, that bird is so chill, it just stays right there. Doesn't flinch whatsoever. So
It's
either
gotten
it's a
used to
different kind of bird or it's gotten used to us from last year. They know they're safe here or something. But yeah, so
it.
more nature. I'm so happy. Yeah, I can't wait to that there's little eggs there and wait to see what happens. And so I like it. I wanted our place to be a place where like butterflies and bees and birds and all that stuff can come and do their thing. So I'm kind of happy about that. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver, and with me, as always, is my dear friend, Mr. Grizzly. Of course, a big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Pepper Master, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. We have a Monday morning bite or nibble for you, Mr. Grizzly.
I have to go into the office, but I don't have to go in until 10, so I have to leave here at about 9:45. So we can have a bite today.
We can have a bite today, all right. And since we're already talking to him, well, why not say hello to our dear pal, Mr. Grizzly, and ask him, how's your mental health going today, sir?
Well, good morning, Mr. Beaver. I despite the dreary, miserable weather that we've had since Saturday, it's 3 days in a row of
Mm-hmm.
gray overcast. It's been raining. It rained really hard here last night
Mm-hmm.
too.
Yep.
I'm in good spirits, surprisingly.
I'm
For
glad to hear
usually the weather has a really deleterious effect
Right.
on me, but no, today I'm feeling good. A little tired, typical. Fell asleep just before the overtime period started in the hockey game and woke up. The game was over, crawled off the couch into bed, and then couldn't get back to sleep. You know how that
that
goes.
happens to me a lot with
So
that super comfortable couch and
a
that I
little,
always fall asleep on. Yep.
little groggy at the moment. So I'm not 100% awake. I've been up since 5, but yeah, by the time I get 3 of these into me, I'll be good to go. This is just the first one. I just made a fresh pot. I've got the full carafe right here. We're good to go.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Although I cannot understand for some reason. I'm looking because when I do a production, I monitor. Like I look at our. Well, look here. Let me just put this camera on here. Hang on a sec here. I'll just add the screen and show the folks the magic that happens. Okay, hang on a second here. We'll just put this up, and we'll increase that. So there. So this is the command center, right? So the command center. This is what we monitor. This is the live feed. This is the delayed YouTube feed over here on the left. And what I cannot figure out is why my camera is I'm pixelated, like horribly pixelated. I have no idea why. It's bizarre. And I'm like, okay, I'm looking. Okay, processors, no, nothing's out of the ordinary there. That's running within operational parameters. The only thing I've got running in the background that could be chewing through my processor is the YouTube feed, but I always have that running. So let's just kill that and see what happens. If that improves, now I can't tell what it looks like, what the outgoing feed
It
looks
did
like.
not
So hang
improve a
on,
thing.
I just sent it to my hub here on my desk through my phone, and no, I'm still pixelated. I don't know what's going on. No idea.
All right. Oh well.
No idea.
Well, we hear your voice and you're here and you're feeling good, so that's what matters.
That's what matters.
Yeah. Well, we'll get a show out some way, one way or another. Good morning, Kit Jillian, Kit Elaine, Kit Tavi G, Kit South Stands TFC, Kit Linda M, Kit Elaine, who says it's rainy here also. Good morning, Kit Jen. Good morning, Kit Saucy. Rain and wind here as well, where you are. Tavi G, we said hello already, but why not say hello twice? There's no problem with that. Hello, Kit Jim as well. Lovely to see you. Good morning, Kit Sadeka. Everybody's here today. That's wonderful. Yeah. And people are talking about forsythia and magnolia and all those beautiful things. I love magnolia in particular. When they're all in bloom and you walk into a neighborhood that has a lot of them and you get that whiff.
Never met her.
Magnolia is pretty cool. Marigold's a little bit of a, anyway.
That's my was it Mariah Carey? I don't know.
Yes, I don't know her. I had a chance to use that meme earlier. Somebody was teasing our friend Bryson trolling our friend by I should say
yeah.
about that stuff, and saying a whole bunch of stuff about Allah and like this. It goes, Allah, never met her. I'm sorry. It's just like, oh.
Here's the thing. It's like if you come for Bryson, you better be prepared because his game is A1.
You're gonna, well, again, it's like
You're
oh,
not
you messed with the wrong queen. It's
You
just,
did.
it's like,
You
never
really
try
did.
never try to outbitch a queen. Rule of life. we have it in our DNA. All right, I had to go Julia Joe sugar breaker on someone's ass again this weekend too, eh? Like
Oh,
this
yeah.
for saying that the media, like, apparently I'm the token gay on the network.
Oh yeah, I saw that idiot on the weekend. Yeah, and I checked out this person's.
I'm a token gay on a homophobic network, and I'm spitting on all my fellow kind.
Yeah. I look at this person's bio and I'm like, they should be in line with everything we talk about, but they're just railing. I'm like, it's a bot. It's got to be a bot or a troll.
Yeah,
it's got to be a bot. Yeah,
it's one of those shield profiles where they pretend like to fight for the gays, whatnot, as they attack gays as not being gay enough or true enough, right? Exactly. Like this for all the things that they. So yeah. Anyway.
So I managed to get all of the things up. I just haven't put the prices to any of them yet. But these are the sort of styles we're looking at.
Ooh,
oh, that's clearly not a style. That's just an accidental green roof.
The Royale beard I like, but is there a Royale beard with cheese? Is what I'm asking.
Royale with cheese, I suppose. Yeah. So these are the different styles. Of course, mine is a lot longer than but I could do any one of these. And the thing is, I'm going to put price tags on each one of them, and then we'll have people bid, and whoever bids, that's what I'll wear for that day. I didn't mean to show that.
Ooh, numbers
for that day. Yeah, that's old. They've changed because we're in a new month now. But I'll put a price tag on each one. Like the goatee, that'll be $50. The petite goatee will be $25. The Van Dyke, that's $50. That's $100. Short box beard, $25. They're going to be different. The Balbo beard, I think that should be like $100. The Anchor beard, $25.
I think you might be
the
going
Chevron,
for a little cheap there, my friend.
Well, it's for one day. I suppose. The horseshoe mustache, that's $200 because for mine, I'm going with the full length. I'm going full length on that one, right? So that hangs down to here. So that's like a big hanger. So that'll be like a $200 job.
Yeah, but the thing is that the 5 have to be able to work. You have to be able to go from not all of these. You can go from one to the other.
That's right. So it's like and we're going to go with so they're starting bids.
Yes.
Okay. So there'll be starting bids. So if you raise the price, that's the one we go with.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, and then it depends on, the highest price, the highest bid wins. And then we have to figure out, okay, all right. So which order are we going to do this in? So I'll have the pricing up later in the week because this is going to take place at the end of this month. We've got a couple of weeks ahead, so end of May, because I'm into 9 months now. You can tell I rolled right out of bed. I haven't showered or anything yet. I have to take a shower before I go into the office. That's why we got to have a hard out at 9:30 so I can shower and then get into the office.
Just a note for Kit Sadeka. You said, Paul, the link I posted might help with your camera. I don't see any link that has come.
Oh, did you send it via Twitter?
I don't know. Yeah, we don't see any link that has come through. But if you send it through our Gmail address, Ms. Sadeka, because I know you have it because your package has arrived and I need to go pick it up as well. If you send it through our email address, we'll be able to get it that way for sure. Right. So I think it's truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com. And
or you can just DM me on Twitter.
Yeah, or that as well. All right, and then just let us know which way it shows up. Yeah, I know, Miss Nick. It's something I've tried to post links a couple of times too, and it has not appeared in the chat. So that's why I always send them to Mr. Grizzly. Okay, or post it on Twitter. Yep, whichever one you want.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. I was about to report in the headlines with.
I have a couple for you.
What?
I have a couple for you
that
we can discuss.
Okay.
A couple headlines.
All right. So first is Stanley Cup Playoffs, of course, as we know, because a few days ago it was Canada Day. with the Leafs breaking the curse. Well, the first curse. The first curse.
The first round curse. The first round curse.
There are many levels of curse.
Yeah, there's the Harold Ballard curse, in which case you never make the finals again or win the Stanley Cup again. That's the Ballard curse. They haven't played in the Stanley Cup Finals since 1967. Yeah. Closest they came was 93 against LA in Game 7 when LA won in overtime. When quite literally Gretzky assisted on the winning goal, and he shouldn't have been on the ice because he high-sticked Doug Gilmour, cut Gilmour. It should have been 5 minutes in a game. The referee has later said, yeah, I blew that call. Anyway, it's 93 was the last time they came close. Will they make it to the third round this year? Time will tell. I mean, look, getting out of the first round is a major psychological hurdle for that team and the fans. Yes. It really is.
And beating, was the other team higher ranked, if I remember correctly?
No.
Okay.
But I mean, Tampa Bay is no slouch of a team. They're not the team they were who won back-to-back Stanley Cups. I mean, that team doesn't. A lot of those players are gone. They were virtually an unbeatable franchise for those 2 seasons. Like, they were just so good. They were so good, it was ridiculous. I remember watching them play Montreal, and I'm like, look, I really want Montreal to win, but my buddy, who is a lifelong Montreal Canadiens fan, said they can't beat Tampa. He says it's just not going to happen. They're simply too good. And a lot of my friends who are Habs fans said the same thing. I'd love them to win. I know it's not going to happen, so we're just going to enjoy the ride. Mm-hmm. Will Toronto make the finals? I don't know. I honestly don't know. It's curious, but you've got a little clip here.
I got a little clip, Mr. Grizzly, because I'm just going to play it, and then I will.
The pressure here too is like
Matthews.
Okay,
and Marner,
Matthews has got 1 year left on his deal at 11 or 12 and a half or whatever. Douglas has to go. Douglas, love you. True North Eager Beaver podcast. We'll talk to you soon. At True Eager. Follow, subscribe. Follow him on Twitter. True North Eager Beaver. Hit it. Podcast. Subscribe everywhere you get your fine podcast. Love you, baby. Great.
I got one thing for you, Dean. Though. Yeah. I'm hardwired for optimism, right? You've been good. You've been really going out on a limb that they're going to tank. I bet you they win in 6 just to spite you.
Don't say that. We just talked about not making predictions.
Oh, I need them to lose in 7, Douglas. Throw that energy out there because I got $100 on it.
I've got nothing to lose. I just bring the happiness. I want to make you happy.
Thanks,
I'm predicting 6 just to spite you.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Just so that they could shove it down your throat. The fact that you said it wasn't going to happen.
I wouldn't mind having it shoved down my throat. I'm okay with that, as opposed to what's happened over the past 20 years. Great to see you.
Well, you did call
it.
I call it?
Called it. Ray, look at Douglas, the new director of sports. See, the thing about making calls is that you have to not watch the regular season.
I did not. Look, I did not see that coming. Right, I did not see Leafs in 6. I didn't see it, and I think there's a lot of people who would say the same thing. Many of us thought it would go 7 and anticipated a choke. So,
especially when they lost game 5 at home. Was it?
Yeah, I'm like,
one down, 2 to go. I kept on hearing it.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, and I mean, look, it's not like it was new territory.
No. I you know what? That last game, when it was like, it was going back and forth. I was like, oh, come on, man, you got to win this, man. Don't make a fool of me now. I guess I went way out there on that limb with that one.
I was sitting on the couch watching it, and at the same time, I got a text from a friend living in another part of the world. So I looked down at my phone, and I glanced up, and it's like, they scored. And I was like, yeah! Oh, shit, it was Toronto. Because I thought it was Tampa that scored. Because I wanted it to go to 7. Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh,
is this a home or an away game? Who's got the blue and the white?
Yeah, it was confusing, right? Because like literally, if you don't see the crest or catch the name, because it's a fast action, I was like, oh shit.
And then,
because I wanted it to go to 7,
right?
I did,
yeah. And then a couple of hours later, the Oilers again, just as good as the game previous. Score a goal, and then the other team scores a goal, and then it's back and forth, and oh my god, I like this. It's just like and I didn't want to tweet too much. Ooh, the morning pour. Yes, we definitely need to get a coffee sponsored. Because the morning pour brought to you by.
You know what? Maybe I'll reach out to Happy Goat because their roastery is just around the corner.
You've mentioned that. Yeah, we need to get a grizzly bean and a beaver bean.
Well, and I was talking to a colleague yesterday. So yesterday was a busy day. I got up, I did a jazz show, and then we did our Alberta show.
Highly
So I recorded the jazz show, did a couple edits to get it up online because I had a couple of coughs in there that I had to cut out. Because I do it stream of consciousness, right? And I've got my notes, I play the music, I talk about the artist, but I cough or there's a knock at the door. I edit out those things, but mistakes I leave a lot in anyway. So I did the edit, posted that show. Then a few minutes later, I'm just surfing away here, looking at stuff to prepare for another show because I was going to record another music show. And then I see where you posted, we're going live at 12:30. I'm like, we are? I thought it was at 2:00.
Oh,
so
you added another 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. You added another 2.
Oh. So I'm like, what? Oh, shit. Okay. So I set up for that. And then we did that live show. And then we had a hard exit and you did stick to it. So that was good. I'm happy about that. And then I had to go because what I had scheduled was I had a meeting with a friend from 11 to 2. And I thought our show was at 2. And then when I saw it was at 12:30 and I saw that at 11:30, I'm like, oh shit. So I texted my buddy. I said, yeah. He says, no problem. I saw you went live. I said, yeah, I thought it was at 2:00. So then I went and met with my buddy and he wants me to help him set up his new studio that he's building because, he wants to do some work with us too.
Okay.
The guy has literally, he could shoot a feature film.
Wow.
He has all of the gear. All of the gear. He's got all of the edit suite. Oh, dude, you have no idea. He could shoot a feature film. He's got the 4K cameras, the Blackmagic design cameras. He's got, you name it, he's got it. He's got jibs. He's got all the studio mics. He's got all the ATEM minis, all the editing, Blackmagic stuff. He's got all of it. And he and I had talked about doing this back in 2017. And we tried to do a few things and there was somebody else who wanted to join. So we shot some test video and then it was like, no, this person is not in line with what we wanted to do. So we just walked away from the whole thing before it got too complicated. Mm-hmm. And then you and I started this and he saw it and he's been watching. He joined, subscribed to the YouTube channel and he called me the other day out of the blue and he's like, yeah, listen, I like what you guys are doing. Here's what my proposal is. So I went over yesterday, checked out his studio space and what he's going to be building. And he's like, you can use the edit suite anytime you want, anything you want to do. So it's something we're going to be working on. I want to continue to do exactly what we're doing. That's not going to change. Yeah. He's like, no, you guys do a great job. But we'll be able to utilize his studio for some stuff and I'm going to help him build it out.
We might be able to add some Brittle Star type elements.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, he's got all the gear. Literally, he could shoot a feature film. He's got everything, man. He's got tripods that are worth $25,000.
Oh, that would be so cool.
We're talking. Well, he was a broadcast shooter, right?
Yeah.
And we're talking. He says the industry's dead. Mm-hmm. It's dead.
Yeah. Now, kids,
he's like, there's no work.
I have to confess, now kids know this, right? The only reason I'm doing all of this is so that I can be like a backup anything and anything Brittle Star does, right? It's like, notice me.
Well, we'll be able to start making some things happen. Like this is not going to happen overnight. I'm not telling you any more details than that.
But that's amazing.
But that was a really good meeting. And then after that, we went and had a bite to eat and discussed some more things. And one of the things we discussed was how the sound bites that Skippy delivers are misleading. Mm-hmm. And he says, I was mad at Trudeau for the convoy thing. And I go, well, hang on a second now. What are you talking about? And he goes, well, he shut the border down. And I go, that was Joe Biden who insisted that truckers be vaccinated before they cross the border into the United States. And we have zero control over that. He goes, what? And the bartender at the pub we were at for lunch, she's like, yeah, no, your buddy's right. That's true. Biden shut the border. We have no control over that. Mm-hmm. I'm like, they were protesting in the wrong city. Mm-hmm. I said, the only mandates that were federal were, if you want to get on a train, you got to be vaccinated and wear a mask. If you want to get on a plane, you got to be vaccinated and wear a mask. Yeah. That's it. Those were the only federal mandates.
And if you were in the military.
That was it. Oh, and if the military, but that goes without saying, the military.
But that's forced
military because they made me get vaccinated.
That's forced readiness.
If you join the military, they give you a battery of vaccinations.
Yeah.
A battery of them.
Yeah.
Because that's just how it goes. So, and Hugh can attest to that. And he's actually said, look, they gave me all kinds of stuff. I have no idea what any of it was. It's just you join the military, you sign that contract, you get this shot or get the hell out.
Yep.
It's real simple.
Pretty much.
And it's always been that way for the military, by the way.
Yep.
The Canadian Expeditionary Force in World War I, they gave you a battery of vaccinations before you went over to London. So anyway, we're not going to debate that point. We'd be here forever. But I helped to give him some insight into things that he goes, I didn't know that. And I go, of course you didn't, because all you saw was a 2-second sound bite so Skippy could win the nanosecond. That was it. I said, you didn't get the full story. And that's what our job is to deliver the full story and give people the facts so that they can make an informed decision. When you have the facts, you can make an informed decision. When you have lies, half-truths, innuendos, or scripted sort of, let's steer somebody in this direction, you're not going to make an informed decision.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we are.
Yep. So we have Stanley Cup playoffs. We have the Leafs advancing. We have the Oilers advancing. So an all Canada final is still in the wish tank, even though it's still Bettman's NHL, and Bettman doesn't like Canada.
Exactly.
Absolutely anything whatsoever. But hey,
it's because of the television ratings. That's what it is.
Yeah, we can keep trying.
He has a hard time selling. Well, yeah, but he has a hard time selling a big television contract in the United States if it's an all Canadian final.
Right. Yep.
I mean, it's as simple as that.
Yep,
right.
That's
the reason. It's business.
Yep.
It's business.
Yep.
So will we see an all Canadian final? I doubt that. It'd be great.
Fingers crossed.
It'd be great.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen.
Because I always cheer. Let's cheer first for all the Canadian teams, and then I tune out. So
let's get to some headlines here, shall we?
Yeah. Well, yes, I would like to do that.
Okay. Go ahead.
The first headline I was going to report is that we are entering day 13, or we're about to enter the third week of the public service strike, and
no, we're not.
The change was. I know that. The change.
Okay.
You got to let me get through a sentence, my friend. You got to let me get through a sentence.
Well,
so I was about to report that because I had an extremely busy day yesterday, and I hadn't heard anything. The only thing I heard was that the federal government had said, this is our final offer. And I hadn't heard anything from the PSAC side. Well, it seems that just as I was writing that in the headlines, I was able to turn on Google Podcasts for about 40 seconds while the intro music was going, and I found out that the Public Service Alliance of Canada has reached a tentative contract agreement with the Treasury Board, covering more than 120,000 federal government workers across the country. So it seems that it wasn't a lie. Or it wasn't just a final offer and the federal government being intransigent. Because I was about to go there. Oh, yeah.
I need you to read the little write-up I put in every morning, because that's in there.
Yeah, yes, I know that. But
because I have to post, the writing for the show, because when we post it and pre-schedule it, I can't leave it blank, right? So I always put something in there.
Yeah. So I was about to faceplant spectacularly. And actually this moment I was going to say, where you were going to say, no, it's not, it was going to be genuine and real. But 10 seconds of CBC. Thank you, CBC. Saved me from an elegant swan dive.
That's a great segue.
Yes, it's a good segue. So it seems that we'll segue into the CBC, but it seems that they've reached tentative contracts. So the national strike's now over for Treasury Board workers, specifically members of the PA, SV, TC, and EB bargaining groups, who are required to return to work May 1st, 9 a.m. So there you go, Eastern time. PSAC says the strike action continues for 35,000 Canada Revenue Agency workers nationwide, and it seems that the federal government has not extended the deadline for filing the taxes, which technically was yesterday, but since it was a Sunday, it is today. So please, today's tax day. If you don't get it in today, there will be a small filing penalty and maybe a short, few days interest. But get it in as soon as possible, please. If you owe. If
they owe you, they don't give a damn when you file.
Yeah. So there you go. This picket lines started on April 19th, and as of May 1st, they are over. So this is a good look for the federal government because there was some strike action. There was no back to work legislation even mulled about, allowed, and a deal was reached in a rather orderly manner. So about 3 days ago, there were articles all over about how this strike was a gift for PP. Oops.
Yeah, oopsie.
Oopsie.
Yeah. And
Particularly
PP was
since-
going on about how the prime minister was, partying it up in New York. I'm like, no, he was working. He was working.
Yes. But the prime minister was partying it up in New York. He really should be home, making sure that strike it. Oh, he managed to do that while he was in New York. Oh, and on the weekend. Oh,
What it makes Skippy look ridiculous because
I love it.
I know. But here's the thing: it's like it doesn't even have anything to do with the prime minister. He's not the guy sitting at the table anyway. It's not him. But Skippy likes to score a few points. Well, looks like those points, their own goals, their own goals. Because while he was in New York, he got it done. Skippy. And Skippy will come out today going, well, that was somebody else who did that. Well, according to you just the other day, it was his responsibility to fix it. So if it's not getting fixed, it's his responsibility. But if it gets fixed, it's somebody else who did it. Like literally the flipping, flopping, the waffling, the teeter-tottering. These cons, these reformers just do this constantly. Doug Ford's no different. We got the childcare done. No, you didn't, Doug. You delayed it till the 11th hour. The 11th hour. It was literally, if you don't sign right now, it's off the table.
Yep.
But they just keep flip-flopping and trying to take credit for things they didn't do. So somehow Skippy will turn this around and go, well, the prime minister had nothing to do with that anyway. Well, which is it? You said it was his responsibility and he shouldn't be in New York. He should be here fixing it. They got the deal done, but he had nothing to do with it? Like, come on.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so absurd.
Yep. Mr. Grizzly, asset up for you. So this was PP, of course, right? Cost of Trudeau's New York minute to be announced. Celebrities met 15, selfies taken 45, handshakes 80, glasses of wine 4, songs sang 3. Pierre, we remember the last public handshake you had. It was with Biden, and well, that didn't go well for you now, did it? So no wonder you're a little jelly there. And of course, there's a picture right here with Hugh Jackman, right? Who was Wolverine, who is Canadian. Hugh Jackman is
Wolverine,
Canadian, but
the character is Canadian. That's right.
Right?
The character is Canadian.
So I was like, hey, I'm with Hugh Jackman, taking a picture. And of course, well, everybody lost their mind because of that, right? Because, my God, heaven forbid that the prime minister should take a photo with a celebrity. Oh, my God, that would be such an absolute terrible, awful thing if a prime minister, Mr. Grizzly, should be taking a photo with a celebrity. And we have John Ivison, the man that fun forgot. Trudeau takes a trippy trip to convince the world Canada's a serious country. And of course, John Ivison had similar stories when this happened. Or this happened. Or maybe this happened.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was so he had no problem taking a picture with Justin Bieber, Bill Gates, right? And Wayne Gretzky. There is no trippy Stephen Harper's trippy campaign event.
Yeah.
Again, right?
And they're trying to paint the picture with two sides of the same brush.
And who doesn't like Hugh Jackman?
Come on, everybody loves that man.
Who doesn't like Hugh Jackman?
Like, really? Come on.
He sings, he dances, he taps, he's Wolverine, he's a ringmaster, who doesn't love Hugh Jackman? He's Aussie.
He's funny. He's a good lad. He's a song and dance man. He's a tough guy. He's incredibly physically fit at my age. Thank you very much. And my goal is to get to be like that when I grow up.
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jacked, man. Huge Jack man.
And he's Aussie. What's not to love?
He's Aussie. Yeah, exactly. Right? He's a good lad.
Jeez.
It's a good lad.
Seriously, man. What is wrong with these people?
And who's his best friend? Ryan Reynolds.
Right.
Who doesn't love Ryan Reynolds?
Right. So, I mean, oh man, you are barking up the wrong tree. And well, you know what? Since we're talking about spending, and this is a tip of the toque to our friend Thunder Bay Ed, who often sends us little things. Mr. Grizzly, pass it up. This is Presiding Officers and House Officers Summary of Expenditures. The summary of expenditures for presiding officers and house officers includes quarterly aggregate amounts for the following categories: salaries, travel, hospitality, and contracts. The expenses included in reports reflect to some extent the number of members representing a party. Now, the Liberals have about 35% more members in the House of Commons than the Conservatives. So just remember that piece of data. Okay, we have the Right Honorable Justin Trudeau, all expenses combined for 1 quarter, that's just 3 months, $592,379.94. But PP has 1, 2, 3 entries. The first one for $666,523.81. The other one for $33,949.23. The second one's for costs for stuff at Stored Away. The second one is costs for as a leader of the official opposition. And then, of course, the National Caucus Research Office for the official opposition, which the National Caucus Research Office is the only entry for which the Prime Minister has something. He doesn't have anything for where he's staying at the residence, and he doesn't have any for him personally as the leader of the Liberal Party. So with the National Research Office, $276,265. So all of them together are about 50% more over 3 months than what the Prime Minister has spent. But he's out there talking about everybody else's.
Of course he is. Look over here. Look way over there. Look over there. Look over there. Look over there. Don't look here. Do not look here. Don't look here. Whatever you do. Hypocrite.
Mm-hmm.
I read that yesterday, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, where's the proof?" It was like, "Here's the website where you can find this. It's all public record."
So, yep, it's right up on. It's on openparliament.ca.
Yeah,
and then
you can find that at any time.
And then PP decided to do this. Right, he retweeted a thing by Adam Zivo that says the CBC has a unique obligation to be neutral, which it is failing. And again, kids, I am going to tell you that Adam Zivo is wrong. Because the CBC has an obligation to first be truthful and to not sacrifice truthfulness at the altar of neutrality. Neutrality doesn't mean that one doesn't report an ugly or inconvenient truth about you, PP, just because we don't have an equally ugly and inconvenient one about your rival. If it's true, we report it. And if the truth happens to side on the side of truth, not be neutral, and makes you look bad, well, that's your own damn fault. You need to stop doing shitty things.
It's pretty simple, right?
Pretty simple.
Not rocket surgery.
The CBC has no obligation to be neutral, especially neutral to the point of silliness. So, no.
Well, and to that point, sir, did you see this letter? This letter written from Catherine Tate, President and CEO of CBC Radio Canada.
Yes.
So Holly Doan tweeted this out. A private letter from President of the CBC Radio Canada to opposition leader Pierre Poilievre.
And please read it, sir.
I will. Dismisses proposal to cut CBC as partisan fundraising ploy. CBC disclosed letter through Canadian Freedom of Information. Access to information. blacklocks.ca/CBC extra. Anyway, dear sir, I have received a response from your office informing me that you are not able to accommodate my request to meet with you. I must admit I find this disappointing, given that during your leadership campaign, you publicly promised to defund the CBC. I would have hoped that spending some time to understand the organization would be useful. Your party continues to run email blasts and Twitter and Facebook ads, falsely accusing CBC journalists of bias and using the defund, in quotation marks, promise to try and generate money for your party. These fundraising efforts do not acknowledge the scope or value that CBC Radio Canada actually delivers to Canadians or the implications to this country and its economy were it to be, in quotation marks, defunded. As the head of the public broadcaster and as the leader of the opposition, I think Canadians can rightly expect that the two of us have a responsibility to discuss the implications of your promise.
She's right.
With that in mind, I am extending again my request for us to meet. I ask that you reconsider this request. Sincerely, Catherine Tate, President and CEO, Président Directeur Général, CBC Radio Canada. Shot across the bow. And what was Skippy's response? Yep, nothing, zero. I can't respond to something I didn't see. He ignores it.
The three monkeys. See no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil. See no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil.
He went radio dark.
So, which brings up a very interesting and disturbing pattern from our alleged leader of the alleged loyal opposition.
Alleged.
PP seems to have an issue with exposing himself, and this one has levels, to intelligence. He doesn't want to know what's going on in intelligence so that he can maintain implausible deniability on attacking the Prime Minister and members of the Trudeau Foundation for what's going on the election or political influence file with regard to the PRC. And with regard to the CBC, 3 letters ends with C. Interesting. With regard to the CBC, he also does not want to expose himself to intelligence as to what is the actual mandate, what the implications of his decisions or his planned policies would be.
He couldn't continue to create this false narrative.
Implausible deniability again.
Exactly.
It's like, it's not even plausible deniability at this point.
No.
It's just like, you just want to be able to say, I didn't see, I didn't know, so that you can't be sued.
Be right back.
Yeah. I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed, Skippy. I'm not impressed. And you complain about $6,000 hotel rooms, and yet you rack up 50% more expenses in 1 quarter for doing what you do. You want the Prime Minister to never leave the country for any purposes, even work, because there might be something going on here, and never take the jet to anywhere, because that's a hypocrite. I guess I'm kind of wondering if Skippy, as the leader of the official opposition, might be invited to the King's coronation, and will he refuse to go? Because that would be an interesting thing for usually the monarchist Conservative Party to do, because usually they support institutions. And as someone on Twitter said, I bet you just for shits and giggles, if he does go, that the law office in London books him into a $6,000 per night hotel room.
Yeah. That is what will happen.
I would do that,
because
if I was British, I would do that.
I
was working at the office.
He goes on about the $6,000 hotel room, which again, the Prime Minister doesn't choose that. That's done by the RCMP under direction from the British Security Service. Right. Number 1, for the Queen's funeral. Right. Number 1. Number 2.
It'll be similar for the coronation.
It'll be similar for the coronation. But Skippy had a $7,000 water bill at Stornoway last month.
Yeah.
$7,000 in water?
Rubber BP, you're no one. You make.
What is he running the shower 24/7? Like,
well, maybe he knows that he sold his soul, and he feels so dirty at night that he needs to wash and wash
constantly. Like, how do you run up a $7,000 water bill in a month? I don't care how big your house is. Somebody needs to break that down for me. How that's even possible? Because it's Ottawa. We have some of the finest drinking water on earth in this city.
Well, Skippy is a little thirsty.
Well, it must be. Like $7,000?
That's not thirsty. That's parched.
Jesus.
God,
that's a mortgage payment on a couple of houses, for crying out loud.
He's arid inside. Arid extra dry. Oh, man. Yeah. So he's being a piece of work.
There's no pool at Stornoway, by the way, Ellen. There's no pool at Stornoway.
Yep.
There is at 24 Sussex.
Yep.
It was built in the 70s. I've been in it. There's a tunnel that goes from the main house to the pool. It's beautiful, but it's been empty for a few years because there's nobody living at 24 Sussex since 2015. So, yeah, there's no pool at Stornoway.
So, yeah, BB's not had a very good, especially when you consider like the most recent Léger poll says that in the province of Quebec, where he really, really needs seats. The CBC thing isn't helping him because legally you can't defund the CBC without defunding Société Radio-Canada.
Radio-Canada.
And Société Radio-Canada is very popular in Quebec. Not only is it very popular in Quebec, but as Chantal Hébert mentioned, it's also the only way that Quebec gets information from the rest of Canada. So
That's right.
Do you really want that province to become much more insular with regard to national unity? It's the only way the rest francophones living in Canada outside Quebec often get news and information in their own language.
Well, you got to remember there's entire francophone communities in Saskatchewan and Manitoba.
There's over a million francophones outside of Quebec.
Yeah, it's not just Quebec.
Right.
New Brunswick being the only officially bilingual province in the country.
Yep. So I mean, you do that, you lose Quebec, you lose New Brunswick, you lose most of Northern Ontario and Eastern Ontario near the Quebec border. Right after that,
you lose a lot of votes in Saskatchewan and Manitoba.
Yep. So, and things are different in theory too. Bruce Anderson was mentioning that, it was like when you're talking about, do you support, Skippy saying that, well, that's sort of like a general idea, some policy things that go in that direction. But if he actually came up and says, you know what, I'm like completely defunding the CBC and I'm destroying this institution, that's a very different thing in real life. For people, because there's a lot of people that say, yeah, I don't use it, but I still see the value. What are you doing tearing down an institution? Right. So,
no kidding.
So that's those things are a little different. So he's not doing himself any favors. Let's say he's basically sacrificed Quebec right there, especially since he's not saying it in French.
Oh no, and he won't because he knows.
But it's like
cutting off his nose to spite his own face.
But it's
right?
Radio-Canada and CBC. So Radio-Canada, the people at Radio-Canada speak English, right? So they hear you. And then they tell Quebecers in French that you're not saying this in French. And then they say in French what it is that you are saying in English. And then they realize, again, the one thing you can't do in Canada with Quebec is deux langues, deux discours. 2 languages, 2 discourses. You can't do that. You get caught every time because people talk.
Yeah, imagine that.
And there are people that speak both languages and will say what you said. So he's basically sacrificed Quebec. And as well, how do you defund the CBC, still keep on providing services to Radio-Canada without using the CBC's infrastructure across the country? So he's not going to save that much because that's an infrastructure still has to exist. And then how do you campaign in a federal election saying that you're guaranteeing media services for the Francophone minority, but not for the Anglophone majority and not at all for the Indigenous?
Yeah.
This is like Tom Mulcair back in the election that Trudeau ran in first. And everybody was wondering, it's going to be this race between Mulcair and Trudeau. And I said, the first thing says Mulcair can't win. And it was going, why do you mean? He's ahead. I said, he can't win. He's already set all the seeds for falling apart ahead of time. And he's like, what do you mean? It's like Sherbrooke Declaration. Right? The NDP won big in Quebec with Jack Layton. So Tom Mulcair goes in and says, you know what? I support the Sherbrooke Declaration. Well, the Sherbrooke Declaration was a declaration that in the case of an independence vote, 50% plus 1 vote would be enough, which directly contravenes the Clarity Act and the decision of the Supreme Court. But because he wanted to shore up Fortress Quebec, he promised the autonomists and soft sovereignists in Quebec that if ever there would come to be an independence vote, the NDP would support it if it was 50% plus 1. He couldn't sell that in the rest of Canada. He worked so hard. He overreached. He promised something that no other party would and didn't need to in Quebec at the time and lost all of Canada. Just, You can't do those types of things like this. And he did the same thing on childcare. He was supporting some type of childcare thing for all of Canada. But since Quebec had already done theirs, there would have been no additional benefit from Quebec. All that would have been was money going into Quebec that they could have taken off and then redirected to something else, like Doug Ford does with the health dollars. But there would have been no additional benefit because Quebec's program had already been established for it. So he's selling a childcare program that won't sell in Quebec, and he's selling a sovereign national unity program that wouldn't sell in the rest of Canada. He was doomed before the writ was even dropped. It was not going to happen for him. So PP is doing the same thing here on certain subjects. And again, he's got about 2 more years to keep laying up these booby traps for himself that he's going to trip all over. And by the time the election comes, the inflation argument's not going to be there for him anymore.
Well, and honestly, I don't think he'll be leader of the opposition by the time the election rolls around. I think he'll be gone.
If Singh and Trudeau can draw out that deal and wait it out, there'll be plenty of time for him to be ditched before.
Oh yeah. And look, the Reform Party just keeps going through leaders. Like, come on, they're disposable.
Yeah,
and at least Aaron, but at least Aaron O'Toole had the decency to say, you know what, I'm out.
Yeah, but okay, yeah, he left. Yeah, he's the only one that left. But I mean, I'm sorry, like Scheer was Harper 2.0, but with dimples.
Yeah.
O'Toole tried to be Harper 3.0, but cuddles. He's so cuddly, just a little beer. And then now they brought in PP, who's as nasty as Harper wanted to be, but had the discipline not to be.
Well,
because it wouldn't have gone over well.
What was the saying? It's like he's anti-charisma.
Yeah, but it's 4.0 now.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of Harper anti-charisma, did you see the proof of life video?
Yes. Yeah, we showed that on
yesterday. Well, the yesterday show. Yeah. It's like
Alberta show.
Yeah. It's like the ringing endorsement to vote for Alberta and vote Conservative.
Not UCP, not Daniel Smith, Conservative in Alberta.
With almost Stéphane Dion production values. The only thing that didn't happen was the camera going down.
And out of focus. That was it.
Gee, he did not look good.
There we go. I gotta get to the pharmacy later today and renew a script for tetracycline. My rosacea is coming back and haunting me.
Ooh.
It's unpleasant. That's what this is.
Okay. Yeah.
It's red mark. It hurts. It's painful. Springtime, eh?
Yes.
Isn't it great?
Do you have anything for us, Mr. Grizzly?
Anything else? Honestly, this. Ontario Place for All tried to Freedom of Information Act the provincial contract with Therm. The request was denied because the government argued its release would be harmful and injurious to the economic interests of Ontario.
Okay, that's a Trump thing again. Could harmful and injurious to the economic interests of Doug Ford. Doug Ford, you are not Ontario.
Surrounds Ontario Place redevelopment plans. What do we do? What do we know? As calls grow for transparency over the redevelopment of Ontario Place, Global News can reveal new details about the Science Centre move. Look, people are already losing their minds about him wanting to bulldoze the Science Centre because it's an award-winning architectural marvel. Again, it's brutalism, but it's beautiful brutalism. And brutalism can be done beautifully. And in this case, it was. And it was done with provincial funds, and he wants to move it to a tiny little space on the Toronto waterfront where Ontario Place is. And I say a tiny little space because somebody did a comparison. They took the existing Science Centre and placed it where Ontario Place, where Therm wants to build their spa, and it takes up like at least almost 2/3 of the island. And they showed what Therm is going to be taking up and what space is allowed for the new Ontario Science Centre. Well, the new Ontario Science Centre will be the size of my 650 square foot 1-bedroom apartment.
Are you serious?
I'm exaggerating, but not by much. It is literally a 16th of the size of the current Ontario Science Centre. So what does Doug want to do? Well, one of his developer buddies bought land across the street from the Science Centre. They've got a new rail line going in, so he wants to bulldoze the Science Centre, put a station for the rail line right there. And guess what will happen right across the street? 60, 70, 80-story condo towers, so people can use that transit system. Doug, you're so blatantly transparent in what you're doing.
Yeah.
You want to bulldoze an architectural marvel that millions of Ontario children have visited since 1969 when it opened. Millions of Ontario children, school children, right? It's been a big trip. Go to Toronto, go to the Ontario Science Centre. Not only that, but people in the Golden Horseshoe have been going there for 54 years. He wants to bulldoze that so he can put more money in his developer buddy's pocket. And one of his developer buddies is also a wealthy donor, the Conservative Party of the province of Ontario. It's so blatantly transparent what they're doing. They're not even trying to hide it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And friends of mine, again, lifelong conservatives, are like, I've had it with this government. I've had it with the province of Ontario. I've had it with Skippy. Like they're like renouncing their conservative membership. And I'm like, well, no, stay in the membership so you can vote against him the next time. You can vote for an actual viable candidate. They're like, yeah, that's a good point, but I don't want to be involved with this party. I go, then vote against them.
Mm-hmm.
Vote NDP. I know you won't vote Liberal because you can't stand Justin Trudeau, and I can't get them to tell me exactly why. And here's why I say this. I'm like, why do you hate Trudeau? Well, because he's not. I go, hang on a second now. You're getting confused with certain. And look, he definitely has his flaws and faults. No question. No question. He does. But I'm like, you have been sucked into the Fox News cycle machine where you're getting little tidbits and you're listening to this guy and that guy and you're not getting the whole story. So let's review a couple of these things. And usually by the end of it, they're like, oh, I didn't know that. I go, of course you didn't, because they don't want you to know that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're painting a picture that they want you to look at and fall in love with. And then I asked each and every one of them, how was your life diminished in any way, shape, or form under Justin Trudeau's term as Prime Minister? How has it diminished the quality of your life in any way, shape, or form? And no one can answer that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No one can come back and say, well, nope.
Yep.
The carbon, no, it's a regulatory fee and you actually get a rebate.
Yep. Yep.
Well, no, not that either.
Yep.
Nobody's been able to come to me and say, he has impacted my life negatively because of this, that, or another thing. Nobody, not one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm reading here in City News also that it seems that Doug Ford, well, typically, is not being completely honest with us as well. It says Ontario Premier Doug Ford has cited a huge drop in attendance and, quote, rundown infrastructure at the Ontario Science Centre as part of his justification. But reports from the Science Centre itself show that attendance has been rebounding post-pandemic lockdowns. Small annual decreases in attendance in the years before COVID-19 are attributed to nearby construction of a provincial transit project and not having enough money for marketing. The size of the Science Centre's operating grant from the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Sport appears to have been frozen for the past 10 years. Gee, have you ever tried marketing it? Maybe you'd get more people. Based on government expenditure estimates, Infrastructure Minister Kinga Surma apparently, word on the tweet is that there's similar activities between Kinga and Doug as there is between Brian and Ivana. I have no confirmation of this, but word on the tweet is. So they're lying about attendance. They haven't put any money into marketing it. There have been big construction projects all around.
And it's successive governments, by the way, not just the Conservatives. The Liberals did the same thing. They didn't market it. They didn't put any money into it.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get the facts out there, right? Because that goes back 10 years, which means that was under the McGuinty government and for a time the Wynne government. So, nobody's innocent.
Nobody's innocent here. So Ford apparently said, I can look around this room and ask how many people have gone to the Science Centre in the last, I don't know, year, 2 years?
Oh, come on, dude. That's a bullshit narrative.
What was going on in the last 2 years?
Global pandemic.
Right. It's like
business
one
shutdowns.
and it goes, how many? But this is like, again, right? The exaggeration. How many people in the last 2 years? One? I don't see anyone. One. He's trying to get people to believe that one person went into. It's like those comments were uncalled for, said NDP infrastructure critic Jennifer French. Since COVID, I know people are eager to get out into their public spaces and give their kids something to do. And the Science Center has always been a favorite. So painting it in a negative light is kind of mean-spirited and unfounded, she said. Ford later clarified that the attendance drop was 30%, and his office said that figure comes from comparing 2012 13 figures to 22-23. The decrease, however, is about 10% when comparing 2012-13 to 28-19, the last year unaffected by the pandemic.
Yeah.
30% versus 10%.
Look at the numbers. Numbers don't lie. You're right. Numbers don't lie, but let's put some context to those numbers, shall we?
Coming out of the
context.
Yeah. Coming out of the pandemic lockdowns, on-site attendance for 2021-2022 was 255,347, well exceeding the center's target of 142,078, almost doubling it, that is, according to its annual report for that year. Attendance on Family Day weekend and March break last year exceeded numbers for those dates in 2019 by 7% and 15% respectively. According to Science Center annual reports, attendance went up and down between 2012 and 13 and 2016-17 when it was 941,006, and then it declined by 4%, then another 2% to 884,837. So, it's well attended. It's well attended. It's beating targets. There's no need for it. And it seems that the Toronto Region Conservation Authority has stated that Ford can't build there. So now they're going to have a face-to-face meeting to discuss it. Doug Ford revealed that he hoped to demolish the structure and move the science programming to a new 275,000 square foot facility at Ontario Place. So I don't know how big the current one is. And if that's much smaller or not, but I will take your word for it there, Mr. Grizzly. And of course, like you mentioned, it was a 99-year lease deal, which is kind of interesting here. But was this Doug Ford who said this? Yeah, the premier said when he was musing about the move, I think there's 90 acres. Now, I don't know if it's all buildable, but even if it's half that, that would be a great opportunity. But from the TRCA, which is the Toronto Regional Conservation Authority, they said it's not buildable. It's built in a mature deciduous forest. There's a large marsh there, and it's home to multiple birds and mammal species, turtles, and amphibians. So we have the regional authority, and as I hope, this is some of our Alberta discussion coming, but because the Indigenous people have agreements with the Crown that predate this, the Toronto Regional Conservation Authority and Indigenous activism are really Ontarians' only two real hopes that this thing does not get done.
Oh, yeah.
That somebody invokes something treaty or whatnot, and this gets tangled up in courts for several years. And because if we're just relying on us appealing to the premier or writing letters with his majority, it's not going to happen. It has to be legal in this case.
That's right.
Right. But it seems that the longer this subject is in the news, the less good it is for Mr. Ford. So people are paying attention to this one. And the Kits had some wonderful comments about here. We've got Elaine going, we don't need no freaking science. And Linda M going, Ford bulldozing science is exactly on brand. It's true. It's true. Kit Saucy goes, ugh, this is gross. Ford is selling off Ontario piece by piece to rich developers and corporation. Kit Linda M, pave paradise, put up a parking lot. Indeed. And speaking of that, just announced, if you happen to be living in BC, which means you're not far from George Washington, the town of George in Washington State. Because at the Gorge Amphitheater just announced on June 9th and 10th, Joni Mitchell will be performing live. She's actually having a concert after she did that stage thing with Brandi Carlile at that big festival.
Yeah.
So they
the Newport
contacted each
Jazz
other.
Festival.
Yeah, Newport Jazz Festival. She said, I want to do this again. So with Brandi Carlile, because she is going to be there. So Brandi Carlile is basically there on the 9th and the 10th. Sorry, I lied. She's there on the 9th and the 10th with Brandi Carlile's Echoes Through the Canyon event. And then on the 10th at 7 p.m. at the Gorge Amphitheater, Joni Mitchell and the Joni Jam with special guest Brandi Carlile. So that just went on sale. So if you want a chance to see a legend live, especially since everybody thought that that would never happen again, get your ticket.
Kidding.
Get your ticket. So yeah, way to go, Joni. She's a beast. Some artists just need to perform. They have that fire, that life force within them. And it's like, and a crash, heart issues, nothing will stop them. They just have to be creative and get out there, and So if she's that kind of soul, then good for her. I'm really, really happy about that. That's absolutely amazing.
That's great news.
Yeah. All right. So that's Ontario Place, and it's always nice to throw in a little Joni there. I always like to talk.
I've got something for you here. It was just sent to me. I'm going to put this on the screen. This is about Alberta, and I'll bring it up in just a second here, but again, a little bit of background on it first. So Tavi G just sent this to me, and it's it starts off with a tweet from Rob Anderson. Rob Anderson is Free Alberta Rob, and he appeared on a program with Danielle Smith. He's the executive director of Alberta Premier Danielle Smith's office, proud Albertan dad, Stacey's lesser half. I guess Stacey's his wife. Rachel Notley, Alberta's NDP, Rachel Notley will put an end to Danielle Smith's plot to hijack your Canada pension plan. We will protect your pension. And Rob Anderson tweets, tinfoil, meat hat. To which there was a response to him, pot, meat, kettle, on the screen right now. Now, so to begin with, the headline, Equalization, Termination, and Tax Collection Act. Okay. Jason Kenney wrote the equalization formula. Every province pays into a pot and money is distributed across the country as needed. That's it. It's not equalization. It's we all pay our taxes. The revenue gets distributed as needed to the provinces that need it the most. Ontario generates more tax revenue than Alberta by a large margin. Why is that? Population base.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
More diversified economy too.
Much more diversified economy. The province of Ontario is just under 16 million. Alberta's just over 4. So it's almost 4 times the population base, larger tax base. But Alberta Revenue Agency to collect all provincial taxes, collection of public employee federal taxes at source, 4.5 billion. Replace the Canada Pension Plan with Alberta Pension Plan, 3 billion. Replace employment insurance with Alberta Unemployment Insurance, 2 billion. Where's that money coming from? Where's it coming from? That would be federal funds under their equalization payments. Because the province can't generate all that money. There's not enough people. The tax base isn't big enough. If they take away your CPP in Alberta, there are many people who will die in abject poverty. They will still get OAS, which is a federal program, and they will still get GIS, Guaranteed Income Supplement, which are both federal programs. But if they take away the CPP, which is a federal program, and go with the APP, a lot of people are going to die. And you know what? Danielle doesn't care.
No.
She doesn't give a damn. She wants to privatize and profitize every single public institution in the province of Alberta. And my friends and family in Alberta, if you do not vote against this woman, you are voting against your own self-interest. She is a danger. She's a danger to democracy. She's a danger to working class and poor.
Yep. And we did, in our Alberta shows, we talked about certain things with regard to that. And I don't know, man.
Oh, and that tweet of the week was from Well, I'll just share the screen with you so everybody can see who it was from. Let me just blow it up here too, because it's important that we give credit where credit is. It's Tavi sent this to me, but check out who it's from. The Breakdown.
Of course. There we go. Yes. So yeah, we had a little chat with Nate over the course of the weekend. One of the things that bothered me about what was going on in Alberta is, well, first of all, April 28th has passed, and it seems that there is no lawsuit for defamation, because she said that was the deadline. But the disturbing thing is that there was a candidate in, I think, their candidate for Fort McMurray, who had a whole bunch of racist comments, and they've replaced him with someone else. And then there's this guy named Tariq Khan, who has tried to run for office many times, either at the municipal level or the provincial level in Alberta. And the last time he wanted to run in Alberta, well, they basically said no. Now, that's when Jason Kenney was running things, but they were not impressed with him because he had done a certain number of things. In fact, he had done basically, it's the holy moly 2-4.
Yeah.
Or 2-4, I should say, not 2-4, because there are things that you can't do. And the first thing was that, well, he's a bit of an anti-Semite. A little bit. He's got some images that are rather quite disturbing on his social media feed.
To say the least.
Yes, to say the least. And he also, well, he praised someone that was involved, I think, in the 2001 parliamentary bombing of the parliament in India.
That's right.
And waxes enthusiastically about this person as a fighter for people. And now I don't know a lot the difference between the whole Kashmiri in India and all that stuff, and that's way above my pay grade. I know that there are tensions and there are historical things, and and it's way deeper than I have the ability to understand with my limited knowledge and exposure to the issue. But it seems to be that if you want to run in Canada, posting pictures on your Twitter feed of Netanyahu, for whom I have absolutely no love, basically with biting into a baby like he would be a vampire with blood on like this,
and the Star of David on his
that. Yeah. That's a little much, perhaps. Maybe. And then when you do the other thing, saying that I'm going to praise this person who did this wonderful thing to help, and that involved supporting the bombing of Parliament in another country when we have a Parliament in this country. And we just saw what happened in the United States with January 6th. And we just had an occupation.
Yeah.
So somebody thought that this guy's nomination papers, who, under Kenney, they thought, you know what? You got some stuff on your Twitter feed that we've noticed, and we're not comfortable with that. So, no, you can't run with us. You can't sit with sit with us at our table. How it is that they approved him? Now, they didn't approve him to run as a candidate. They approved him to sit on the 30-panel multiculturalism committee that Danielle Smith is hiding behind to say that, well, she doesn't support any form of racism or discrimination whatsoever. He had to step down from
that. You think?
The writ is supposed to be dropped today. The writ is supposed to be dropped today. She's done all this already. Like, I saw this news that this columnist, I think it was Don Martin, said, I think the fight is going to be between Danielle Smith and her mouth. Something. It's like, I don't know. It's like, if this is a situation that there's not a microphone that she can resist speaking into, this is going to be a battle between her and her handlers. Her handlers are going to try and Doug Ford her. It's like into the basement with you, everything pre-recorded, and but if she just likes to, oh no, I can handle this one. Just let me belly up to the mic, chin up, and ass out. She's going to have a very, very difficult 32 or 32. How many days? 29 days. Actually, you know what? If the campaign is on the 29th and the writs are dropping on May 1st, can we? I thought, well, maybe it's just federal. I thought campaigns had to be minimum 32 or 36 days, but maybe not provincially. Well, she's really going for a short one.
Oh, yeah.
Like a really short one. Wow, she's scared. The shorter the campaign, the more scared you are.
She should be, because look at this. Richard Knack, at Richard Knack, April 29th. Alberta, I'm voting NDP for the first time ever after 49 years in Alberta and backed what was formerly Conservatives in province. UCP controlled by far-right extremists and leadership must be stopped. Alberta and Canada are worth saving from UCP. Seniors beware. Alberta legislature, Alberta politics. And a first response is, hell yes, I'm 61. I've voted Conservative in every election since I could vote. Not this time. We cannot let the Alberta UCP, TBA, I don't know what the TBA is, win this election and destroy our great province. Albertans, don't be take back Alberta. Thank you. Albertans, don't be apathetic. Get out and cast your vote for the NDP and say no to extremism. This is not an anomaly. I'm seeing a lot of this right now because people are freaking out. They realize this woman is dangerous to, well, not only to democracy, but she's dangerous to anybody who is not wealthy. Simple as that. And not only that, but she, we highlighted how she's calling for special travel zones between Alberta and Florida because she praises Kristi Noem in South Dakota and Ron DeSantis in Florida. She wants to have safe travel zones for the unvaccinated to go from Alberta to Florida. I'm like, okay, but what if you have to understand the skies over Alberta are controlled 100% by federal authority, and that's not changing. So if you try and do that, they'll just simply shut you down. You can't do it. You're a landlocked province. Where are you going to go? Where are you going to go? They'll shut down your airspace. Simple as that.
People don't think things through.
She's not that smart.
On her own, anyway.
She's not an idiot, but she's not that smart.
Yeah.
And as Nate was telling us yesterday, she can't think on her feet. She has to be on script. She goes off script, she can't answer a question. Whereas the other way around with Rachel Notley, she's terrible on script. Off script, that's when you want Rachel Notley. Because she's much better off script.
Yeah.
Because she can speak her mind. She's an intelligent, articulate woman who is capable of producing rational thoughts. And again, like I've said time and time again, the Alberta NDP are closer to the former federal Progressive Conservative Party, a la Joe Clark and Brian Mulroney, not Stephen Harper. That was not Progressive Conservative. That was the Reform Party under a new name.
Yeah.
And I keep saying that because it's true. You have an asset for me, sir.
Yes, I do. This was the letter, October 26, 2018. The United Conservative Party. Yeah, it's fuzzy and and I can't blow it up any bigger, unfortunately.
No problem. Just read it to
October 26, 2018. So 2018, October 26th, sent by the United Conservative Party to Mr. Khan. Mr. Khan, I must inform you that a number of issues have arisen regarding your status as a United Conservative Party nomination contestant. In particular, a review of your social media history has revealed a number of highly disturbing posts. On August 2nd, 2014, you shared a highly offensive image that features Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu feasting on the blood of a child. This post appears to invoke the pernicious anti-Semitic falsehood of the blood libel. You also shared a video that labels the Holocaust a hoax fabricated in order to provide European Jews an excuse to move to what was then the British Mandate of Palestine. While I recognize that people can have a legitimate political debate on the practices of the Israeli government, these posts clearly go well beyond that and delve into anti-Semitism and Holocaust denial, values that have no place in our party. I guess they do now. When confronted with these posts in question, you argued that you merely shared the items to raise awareness. We reject this excuse. Lastly, you have posted praise on a terrorist convicted for his role in the 2001 attack on the Indian Parliament. I should add that the terrorist group Jaish-e-Mohammed is banned under Canadian law, as has been, and it still is, but yet he got appointed to the Multiculturalism Committee, as has been repeatedly made clear, we take all appropriate actions to protect the party and its party members from serious reputational harm. I guess we don't do that anymore either. As such, I must inform you that the Nominations Committee has determined that you are ineligible to stand for a UCP nomination comment in 2018, but in 2023 under Danielle Smith, you are the perfect fit for my Multiculturalism Committee. And here's the other thing. Son Lori Goldstein and Brian Lilly, who spent about a month attacking the Brown cabinet minister, Ahmad Hussein, for that 100 and something thousand grant to the Canadian Media Advocacy Association or something like that. That was supposed to help fight anti-Semitism, and the money happened to be directed to a guy named Latham Marouf, who had a history of anti-Semitism, and the Conservatives lost their mind. They've got absolutely nothing to say. They've got they had so many thoughts, many thoughts about the Trudeau government's grant when Latham Marouf got his hands on it, but they got no thoughts, especially not similar thoughts as it applies to Danielle Smith with regard to
because they do not provide balanced coverage. They don't. It's biased coverage, biased towards their guy. And if anybody wants to challenge me on that, prove me wrong. I'll be happy to debate you.
But you
can't prove me wrong because I'm right.
Isn't this particular?
I'm not being smug about it. It's a simple fact of.
But isn't this particularly concerning from Lori Goldstein specifically?
You would think.
But of course, he had nothing to say.
His surname should let you know why it should be concerning.
But he didn't have much concern about the ladies who brunch with Nazis as well, right?
Yeah.
So his outrage seems to be functioning on a sliding scale, which is really interesting when it comes to things related to Holocaust.
Well, there were German Jews who supported the Nazi Party. People sold themselves out to, I don't know what, for money. I don't know, man. It happens. It happens.
And all these people doing this, I'm going to borrow a line from one of my favorite movies, 1939, The Women. There's a word that describes people like you, but most people don't use it in high society outside of a kennel.
That's a good one. Write it down.
1939, I tell you, they got it when you couldn't say it directly. They found very creative ways to say it. You knew exactly what they were thinking. They probably had to use more words and a little more poetry.
PNC bio. That's a good question.
Yeah.
Do we need a minute about the fact that we fought against the Nazis? You know what? It might be time to do that legitimately, to remind people they were the bad guys. We fought against the bad guys.
There's a reason we said never again.
Yeah.
There's a reason the whole world
said
never again.
And it's happening.
Again.
And people are going, well, it won't lead to gas chambers. They didn't start with gas chambers, damn it. They worked their way up, and that took like 15 years. So if you think it won't happen again, you're a fool. It started prior to Trump. Trump ramped it way up.
Yeah.
Like it was incremental. It was incremental prior to Trump. Obama tried to keep things under control, but you could see the incremental increase within a certain...
I think you might have frozen, Mr. Grizzly. Not sure, but I will keep talking just in case. There you are.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Oops. I don't know if the audio may have kept going, but you froze on my screen.
Yeah, no, I realized I was frozen. I don't know if the audio kept going. I just got a notification that says we're having trouble with one. I don't know what is going on with my computer or my network this morning. So once we get offline, I'll have to reboot everything.
All right. Do you want to just repeat that just in case it didn't come through?
I don't even know what I said.
Oh, okay, you were on a roll.
I was on a roll. It's everything's off the top of my head. So
Yeah. Okay, there was no sound while frozen, so we missed your
sorry,
wisdom. Yeah.
sorry, and I don't
Um,
remember. Like literally, I don't remember what I just said. My apologies.
I have a couple little tidbits that I picked up along the way here. For if we're talking about health, it seems that there are still 100 family medicine residency positions that are unfilled in Canada, even though there are candidates for them. But for some reason, the majority of them are located in Alberta and Quebec. Is this supposed to be an indication that there might be something about the healthcare systems in those provinces that make it such that doctors don't want to establish themselves there? Could there be something going on? Maybe,
Maybe,
perhaps. Don't
possibly.
know. Just asking questions.
Just that's it. Just asking the questions.
Just asking
That's
questions.
just
Just
I mean,
yeah, yeah. There have been at least 6 Canadian airlifts from Sudan that have brought out of danger 400 citizens. We had about 1,700 Canadian citizens who had registered with Foreign Affairs Canada while they were in Sudan. That doesn't mean that's all the Canadians that were there. But of the 1,700, Foreign Affairs has been in contact with each one of them. No other flights from the airfield north of the capital city of Khartoum are scheduled at the moment due to the fact that it is so dangerous there. Canadian officials, diplomats had been extracted from the country with the help of the Germans a few days ago, and they have now relocated to the city of, or to this, I don't know if it's a city or it's a town, but to a place called Port Sudan, where it's possible to leave on commercial ships, and we have 2 Canadian naval ships there as well to help. But to get there is very dangerous. It requires a long trek over land in order to get there. And that is very, very, very risky. Sudan borders on 7 other nations, but many of them have also recently experienced war, violence, civil unrest, or political upheaval, so not all of them are in the best position to help. Kenya is probably the country that has the best ability to help at the moment, and I believe they're involved in trying to negotiate some type of peace. There is a ceasefire that's been negotiated that's holding in certain parts of the nation, but not everywhere, and it's kind of tenuous. So we're helping other nations as well. So we've moved, at least. Well, I don't know how many people. We've moved several people. I think yesterday, there was a plane that went out that had 600 people on it, and only 250 were Canadian. The rest. So I mean, we're helping other nations. Other nations are
of
helping
course.
us. Right? It's how it works. But yeah, at the moment, there's no other potential airlift out of the capital region because it is just so dangerous. So yeah, people are convoying out, and I think it's several hundred kilometers to get to Port Sudan. So a lot of things can happen along the way. So sending our best, which of course is, literally the least we can do. But, it's cold comfort.
Indeed.
Yeah. That's one of these things about the world. There are things like that where you feel so powerless. No, basically all you can do is, make a donation to a Red Cross when they open stuff up for an appeal, and basically send your good energy in the world and hope that good stuff manifests itself. In another interesting tidbit, this is for you, Mr. Grizzly. It's a music thing. It seems that there's a court case going on right now against Ed Sheeran from Marvin Gaye's estate, because there's thinking that his song
really?
"Thinking Out Loud" is too similar to "Let's Get It On." The boom, pa, boom,
Yeah.
pa, boom, boom, pa, boom, boom, pa. That is very. I mean, it's very, very similar, almost like the same beat, tempo, and everything too, as well. Like not even speeded up. Now Ed Sheeran's, of course, saying that this is a very, very traditional phrasing in music, and it's very common. You can find it anywhere. Marvin Gaye saying it's a little too close. So, and at first I was thinking, nah, not really. And then I heard, and it's everything else that's overlaid on top, right? That makes this. I mean, there's no bow, 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 I've been feeling that, right? In thinking in Ed Sheeran's song. but just the boom, 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 that's underneath it. It is pretty much exactly the same. So it'd be an interesting piece.
True. I'm going to try
but
something
the song
here.
is different enough. The song really is different enough when you all the other things layered over. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens. You're looking for something, Mr. Rizzi?
No, I'm going to try something here to remedy my camera issues here, and let's see if this works. Let's see here. Tell me if this works. I'm gonna switch to a different camera and see if that makes any difference whatsoever.
Oh, the other one's worse. Oh no. Yeah, probably worse. It's clearer in some ways, but it's almost like the pixels are drawn out vertically. And now we can't hear you. Yep. And now I can't hear you.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. All right. We'll figure it out eventually. Quebec's Highway 50, which passes through the town of Tursault, it appears will be renamed after Montreal Canadian Guy Lafleur because Tursault is his hometown. Cool.
Yeah. It's not far from here at all. It's really close to Ottawa.
Yep.
Right across the river, about 45. Is it? No, maybe 35, 40 minutes from my apartment. It's not far. I've been through Tursault many times.
Yep. Tursault.
And
we know that because Tursault used to have, I think it was a paper mill or whatnot that used. I don't know if they still do, but
still there.
Ooh, when you passed by there, it smelled.
You don't mix it. You can smell it. Well, then they have signs on the road say caution when driving through this area. No. The sign on the road sign says caution driving through this area. The smoke could be thick and it may reduce visibility.
Oh, okay.
And I also remember Tursault was the first, and this is a rather dubious claim to fame. And because there was articles in the paper about it at the time, and it was on the news. It was the first touch bar in the province of Quebec.
Okay.
By touch bar, I mean exotic dancing bar where you were allowed to touch the dancers.
Oh, okay.
First one in, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, and I haven't been to an establishment like that in a number of years, but there was the last time I was in one was a buddy. It's like, come on, let's go out for a drink. I'm like, sure. Where are we going? Meet me here. I'll pick you up. And picks me up, and then we went to a bar, and he's like, here's a dancer for you. I'm like, oh man. And I'm talking to this lovely young woman, and she's like, you can touch me. I'm like, I don't feel right about that. She goes, no, you just go ahead if you want to. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. She was a perfectly lovely person too. She was very nice. But I'm like, I don't know that that's no. No, crossing a line. No, it's look, you're fine with that. That's cool with you. It's not something I'm going to participate in. And I think she finished the dance. I finished my drink and I'm like, dude, I'm out of here. This is not for me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's look, it's not my thing. It's not my jam. This is what it boils down to. I'm not judging anybody who participates. If that's your thing, that's your thing. That's fine. As like, hey, consenting adults can do what consenting adults want to do. If everybody's comfortable with it, that's fine. Wasn't my jam.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So it Lafleur passed away last April at the age of 70 from lung cancer, but captured 5 Stanley Cup titles over the course of his career. And it seems that the dedication of the highway, so it would be l'autoroute Guy Lafleur, will be happening on May 4th. His mother, Pierrette, said, I was surprised. I had heard about it, but I thought maybe it wouldn't happen or it would happen later after I die. But now I think I'm going to see it inaugurated. So she is very happy about that. It makes me feel as if Guy was still alive, she said.
That's cool. That's very cool.
I love moms.
I
just love moms. Here, Mr. Grizzly, you can have a little visual of Guy here. Montreal Canadiens icon Guy Lafleur is shown in a June 1977 photo with the Art Ross, Conn Smythe, and Hart trophies he won in the 1976-77 NHL season.
Yeah, that's all of the big ones right there.
Yep. There you go. Le Démon Blond. Yeah. So yeah, just interesting little tidbits. I like having nice things to say. Also, our hockey players, right? With our hockey players, our Canadian-based hockey teams, did some good stuff over the course of the weekend. But not only them. Oh no, Mr. Grizzly. Oh no, Mr. Grizzly. We need to talk about one super serious, high-profile sport in Canada. Badminton.
Which one's that? Oh, okay.
Mm.
I understand we have some of the best players in the world here.
We do have some of the best players in the world, and the best players in North America by far are in Canada. We recently had the Pan American Badminton Championships going on, and Team Canada, all right, first of all, over the course of this event, blow out all other nations in terms of medals captured over the lifetime of the Pan American Badminton Championships. But this edition, Canada swept the whole thing. Gold in men's singles, gold in women's singles, gold in men and women's doubles, gold in mixed doubles, and silver as well as men doubles and mixed doubles. 7 medals for Team Canada.
So the post I just put on the screen makes me emotional too.
Oh, I think my hormones are out of whack because Douglas almost made me cry saying, I love moms. I feel very overwhelmed lately with things my kids are going through. It's been hard, so thank you. Yeah.
Makes me emotional.
Yeah. I'm thinking, yeah. My mom passed away. My God, it must be over 20 years now or close to. And because it's my sister's birthday, of course, I'm thinking of my mom a lot.
See, I didn't know you had a sister.
Yeah. Our family is very estranged. I haven't seen my sister since my dad's funeral, and before that, I don't think we talked much since 5 or 6 years. We weren't raised together.
Right.
So, foster homes. I was that for the kids who don't know. I was the last of the kids in the family, and my parents separated while my mom was pregnant. So I was not raised with any of my siblings. So I don't really know them all that well, to be totally honest.
Right.
I've met them and tried to form relationships, but we didn't have a lifetime of growing up with Saturday morning cartoons, and so
they're effectively strangers to you, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
We have each other's phone numbers and contacts in case something happens, but there's not much. We've tried. We made like in my 20s, I hung around with my sister a lot and tried, but we're just two completely different people. And but I don't wish her any ill, and so I'm hoping if anybody hears this or all that kind of stuff that somehow you put it out in the universe and the news gets there. But yeah,
I just learned a fact that I think you'll find interesting.
Mhm.
Just like right now, every team left in the NHL playoffs has not won the Stanley Cup in over 10 years.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
okay.
I just thought I'd drop that in there because that's kind of an interesting little tidbit. I mean, Leafs, it's been 55 for them, but it's interesting. So
Yeah. So when we're talking about moms, so essentially every question about my childhood, if you ask me, the answer is yes or no. Are you a single child? Yes or no. Do you have brothers and sisters? Yes or no. Yes and no. Everything's so I've been grown up as a single child, and I've grown up in a foster home with like 5 other boys, so I know what it's like to be an only child and have brothers, but the brothers are not mine biologically, and it's weird. My life is weird. But when it comes to mothers, the one saving grace is that even though I was bounced around in foster homes a lot, my mom always let me know that I was very, very much loved and made superhuman efforts to try to maintain contact and see me. And that was my anchor. And so everything that I am, pretty much all my values, all my beliefs, all come directly from her. So if you're like me, you'd have loved her, pretty much.
Well, I have 2 sisters, and one was adopted. She was my first sibling. And I was 5 when she was adopted. As you know, she was like, I remember when we brought her home, and my buddies came over, my friends, I was 5 years old. So I'm like, shh, quiet, my baby sister's sleeping. You don't have a sister? Yes, I do. And I come in and I show what they see. That's my baby sister. And she, as a lot of adopted children go through, they want to know who they are. Right? They want to know who they are, where they came from. Yeah. So she was able to find her birth parents, and she befriended them. We've met them. They've come. They were at her wedding, her birth mother and birth father. And her birth father recently passed away, so she went to the funeral. And people were getting up to speak, and my sister says to my mom, our mom, I don't really want to do any. And then she eventually decided to get up and speak. She says, "Look, I had a relationship with Arnie in the last 10 or 15 years, that's my mom right there." And Barb doesn't refer, she says bio mom and bio dad. Mm-hmm. They were the biological, yeah. but she has parents. Our mom and dad are the only parents she's ever had. Right. And she met her half brother because her half brother, through her bio dad, his son, was from a different woman. He was married for a number of, anyway, I'm just trying to get to the nitty gritty of it. And she says all these people that are her blood relatives are absolute strangers to her. So they're always inviting her to family stuff. And she's like, I really don't want to go. These are strangers to me. I don't know these people. I know they're my blood, but they're absolute strangers to me. Yep. So, she'll participate when she feels, I don't know, the need or want. But these are, again, they're strangers to her. Mm-hmm. They're strangers to me. And I remember when she first told me, well, I've sought out and I've found, and I was like freaking out. And she's like, Paul, relax. You're not losing me. I'm like, well, I was, she's like, dumb. It's not like, okay, thanks for the 35 years. See you later. Right. I'm like, you're right. I'm overreacting. She says, yeah, look, I'm your sister, period. That's never changing. I love you more than anything, So let's change the subject, because I'm going to start crying, and I don't want to do that.
I was welling up too, and you have Kit Jim saying, going, "We love you, Douglas." And I just want to point out as well, because Kit Jim is also family to me, right. Not biological, right. And his lovely wife, Lori, who is one of our sponsors, Miss V Mysteries at Corvid Mobile Publishing. I've been very blessed. How I put it, although it's been very sad that I've not had my mom by my side my entire life as a child, I have been very fortunate to have other people who have been mothering,
right.
mother-like, come into my life. And Lori is one such person. She came into my life when I was 16, and I'm pushing 50, and she's still in it.
Your 50th is rolling around quickly, hey? Well, a couple of weeks away, isn't it?
A couple of weeks, yes. This is my birthday month. It's also my Beaver Sweetie's birthday month.
What are we doing for your 50th? Is there anything special?
We have to do something. Yeah, I hope so. Because I didn't get to do anything specific for our 10th anniversary.
COVID.
Still COVID. And Alex's 40th, and then Alex's graduation. So yeah, we got to do. I think we're going to be doing all of them, right? It's like happy 50th, 40th, 1 year later, 10th 1 year later.
When is it again? Because my sister's birthday is coming up too.
The 19th.
Yes, her birthday 19th. Hers is the 20. I have to look it up. How terrible! I can't remember. I draw a blank on one of my sisters and on my dad's. I know the month and I know around the time, but I can never get the date straight in my head for some reason. Whereas my mom and my sisters, they're easy. April 10th and August 9th. I can't forget them for some reason. And I don't understand it. It's just the way the brain works.
And the things that I love. Well, first of all, the thing I love most about my birthday. My birthday is my favorite day of the year. I know some people hate them. My birthday is my favorite day of the year. If it wasn't for my birthday, it would be Canada Day. My birthday, because it's the day that it's first of all, I like to pretend that all the other days are about me, but my birthday is the only day that it really is all about me. So that's the number one thing. I'm celebrating the day I decided to grace the earth with my presence.
So
in a true queen style. But
that's a Friday.
Yes,
it's a Friday.
That's the other thing. My birthday's on a long weekend.
Well, Saturday,
every
20th.
yeah, four
Would
out of 7
Saturday
years.
the 20th be a great day for a pubcast?
It would be a great day, but we have family.
Yeah, okay.
So,
we'll
but
have to do
the
the
12th
podcast
might.
either the 13th or the 27th.
The 12th will probably be the 12th, 13th weekend will probably be the better one.
The podcast. Okay,
Yep.
so we can do a pre-birthday, a 7-day pre-advance celebration.
Yep. So,
You got to drink 50 shots.
oh my God! After 4, I'll be.
I didn't say they were
unbelievable.
alcohol. I said 50 shots.
Okay.
I didn't say they were alcohol.
Okay. Because
50 shots of water.
I think it was Dorothy Parker.
Still a lot of water.
Yeah.
That's 50 ounces of water. Well, more than 50 ounces because a shot is 1.25 ounces. So think about that for a minute. That's a lot of water. You're going to be peeing a lot that day.
I think it was.
I would not make anybody drink 50 shots of any alcohol, beer, wine, liquor. No, that would be bad.
Yeah, it was Dorothy Parker. It was Dorothy Parker. I'd like to have a martini, 2 at the very most. After 3, I'm under the table. After 4, I'm under the host. That's pretty much me, but you got to deduce. You got to deduct 1. After 2, I'm under the table. After 3, I'm under the host.
I'm on top of the table, dancing naked.
So, yeah, I do not have high alcohol tolerance at all.
I can't help it. It's the Irish blood in me. You see, I've got Irish, English, French, and African blood in me.
Yep.
So yeah, I've got a very high tolerance.
Yeah,
and that's not a good thing.
Kid Jim, are you calling me a big mother?
He's suggesting PNC Bio suggests 50 shots of maple syrup. Go Canadian, get diabetes.
Oh, okay, diabetic shock rather than liver poisoning. Hey, well, just which way do you want to go?
or as Wilfred Brimley would say, diabetes.
Yes, my diabetes.
You know that Wilfred Brimley was in his 40s when he shot the part for Cocoon?
Really?
He dyed his hair gray to look older. Yeah, he was only in his I think he was like 48 or something like that.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he looked considerably older.
Wow.
Yeah, he's always looked old.
Yes. Yes, but wow. With regard to the coronation, because we mentioned it a little bit earlier, something interesting is happening. There'll be, this is always steeped in tradition, but they're going to be starting some new traditions. It seems that this, in order to sort of try to make things more accessible to everyone, normally during a coronation ceremony, there's something called an homage of the peers, where royal peers sort of go up and kneel down and they pledge allegiance to the king on behalf of all the members of the Commonwealth. It seems that this time around, that's not going to be done. What's going to be done is there will be a moment in the ceremony where everybody at home who happens to be watching can take that moment aloud to pledge loyalty to the king. So they'll be able to put their hand on their heart and say pledge along at the same time, rather than having peers do it on their behalf for all the subjects. Also, for the first time, female clergy will play a significant role in the ceremony at Westminster Abbey. Representatives from other faiths will also be invited to play a role. That's also the first time. And for the first time ever, the ceremony will include songs in the other British languages, Welsh, Irish, and Scottish. So there seems to be some symbolic moves being made a little bit to try and bring it a little closer to the people and to recognize that, even though he's the defender of the faith in terms of the Anglican Church, that he is still everyone's king, regardless of faith, I guess, or language spoken in the United Kingdom. I like these touches. I mean, I'm not particularly monarchist, whatnot, but strategically in communications and symbolism and whatnot, this is all pretty good stuff. Unfortunately, there's probably going to be a lot of Royal Dalton left to buy on discount sale. It's done. I hope they printed a more limited run.
Yes, indeed, because I don't think there's going to be a big. I don't think it's going to be the big thing. That it's definitely not the royal wedding for Charles and Diana.
I just wonder. I know this is going to sound terrible, but it's like I wonder if, like, a couple days after After the ceremony, you get all those cultures like the Greeks and whatnot who like smash plates on the ground. So we've got weddings coming up. It's a fire sale. Let's go. Let's stock up. Opa. Oh man, the things I think about, I swear. I'm not right. A little bit of news stateside, because we had our old pal Jake here last Friday. There were some a poll by NBC News that was looking at favorability ratings of different groups in the United States and people with the upcoming presidential election season starting. And they asked what people thought of groups like Black Lives Matter, Joe Biden, the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, MAGA as a concept, and Trump, positive and negative. Trump, net negative 19%. MAGA, net negative 21%. The Republican National Congress, net negative minus 10%. So the party is 10 points more popular than MAGA. That's a sign they need to cut bait on MAGA.
Yes.
The DNC also 10 points negative, so they're viewing the two parties pretty much the same. Biden negative 10, but if Trump is going to be his candidate, Trump is negative 19, so it's almost 2-1 again. And Black Lives Matter negative 2. So out of all of these things in the United States, the one that is the least controversial is Black Lives Matter.
Go figure.
And not by a bit. 8 full percentage points. And nearly 20 percentage points over MAGA. MAGA folks, you might be backing the wrong horses. You just might. Just saying. Those are really weird numbers. Mr. Grizzly, I think we have a show.
I concur, good sir.
All right, then let's wrap this up. My kids, this is the end of another episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. And we hope you love listening to us because we love making this for you. We really do. As you can tell by the sunshine in my voice, I love that you are here. Kitlinda go imps, so they should elect BLM. Yes, they should. Yes, they should. BLM should form a political party. Yes. I completely agree. So, let's see. If you really like this podcast, you can find us on the Crier Media Network as well as all Beaver Grizzly friendly platforms. Stars and reviews are appreciated. And a big hello to Kit Ray, who joined us today. He's moved on to do other things with regard to marketing and less content creation. So there will be no more Beaver on Around the Horn, unfortunately.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
I didn't know.
Yeah. He's focusing on other types of content rather than just regular sort of content creation. Wish you well, my friend. Hope that everything goes well for you. I watched your number one on your episode 1 on your Q&A last night, and I'm whatever it is, you have my full support, and if we can help you in any way with what you're doing now, you've got us. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and thank you for the opportunity, even though it was short. And I miss you already, my friend. It's out there. But we'll find pretexts like this. We'll find pretexts. Remember, sharing is caring, and word of mouth is priceless. So please let your peeps know about us, because democracy is something that you do. Please rate your MPs, your MLAs, your senators, your media outlets, especially your media outlets, because we want better coverage. And if you live in Alberta, really take some time to do that, because you probably don't want what the Hot Mess Express has in store for you.
No, you don't.
Just saying that. We love to hear from you. So if you want to reach us, you can do it on our Facebook at True North Eager Beaver, our Twitter page, our Twitter feed at True Eager, or by email at truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.ca. Why not also subscribe to our True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube channel? That will help us out big time. And follow Kit Elaine's good advice to smash that button. We can't do this without your kind and generous support. So if you feel we've done a particularly good show for you, and if you're watching, you can scan that little squiggly there that's in Mr. Grizzly's square or rectangle, and that will lead you to our emergency hot chocolate Caesar gluten-free farm boy chocolate chip ice cream cookie sandwich fund. And if you are listening, then if you let your fingers do the walking to coffee, ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, all in one word, lowercase letters. That's where you will find our tip jar, and we appreciate all donations. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you very much. And we are still working on the merch. We are told that it's happening soon, so we'll have that for you when it's when the system is all up and ready for us to go live with it. From the Beaver Lodge, this is your Eager Beaver saying, until next time, dear kids, it can be a tough world out there, so please be kind to and gentle with yourself. Mr. Grizzly, do you have some words of wisdom for the kids and cubs today?
That's a good question. Perhaps take some time today, if you can find the time today. That is, you know what? Make some time today to take a few minutes of inner reflection and take a look at how things are going for you, and take stock and show gratitude for the good things in your life. I know it's difficult to do sometimes, but I'll be doing that later this evening at 9 p.m. on my. Is it 9 or 9:30? I got to double check the schedule. It's usually I do it at 9, but I think James has something scheduled. Let me just double check here. So I don't want to lead anybody down the wrong pathway. Yeah, it's at 9:30. I have to go at 9:30 tonight because James has the time slot from 7 to 9. So 9:30 this evening, it will be the my ASMR mental health show, where I will discuss all things that involve one's personal sort of well-being, if you will, and I do so delivering it with this studio microphone to give you a sense of personal well-being and a sense of intimate closeness, which means that you should put your headphones on if you have any. Headphones or a hi-fi system, either way, to fully get immersed in the ASMR experience. I don't crinkle paper. I don't make silly sounds. I just speak in this voice and talk about mental health challenges and issues that so many of us face on a daily basis. So feel free to join me 9:30 p.m. this evening on my personal YouTube channel for an ASMR mental health chat.
Well, there you go. There's some good wisdom there from our dear friend, Mr. Grizzly. All right, that's the show. Please roll the credits.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver media podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
All right, kids, have a great day.
We'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.